Mountain, Island, Lightning Bolt, Spell Pierce, Switchblade, Stab Wound, Red Mage, Blue Mage.
I got sound.
Push it real good.
Red Mage, Blue Mage.
Okay. Yes, Red Mage, Blue Mage. Who are you?
Amber.
What color of magic do you like?
Red.
I'm Kenny. I play blue. Man, you're good at this.
Okay, I'm gonna be real honest with you right now.
Okay.
I'm loopy today.
Okay.
I'm a little bit sleepy.
Okay.
Which is always the case, I feel like. Every time we record, I'm always a little bit sleepy. But for whatever reason today, it's a little bit loopy.
Okay. Well, that's promising and or terrifying.
Probably both.
Let's find out. Okay, so it's time to talk about magic. You're making a horrifying face. Okay, it's good. It's good. Go ahead and tell the listeners what the theme is today.
Magic the Gathering?
That was a trap. There's not really a theme.
Okay, thank God. I got really nervous.
No, let's just jump into things, actually, and start by picking a card. Pick a card. You son of a bitch.
Picking cards. Picking cards. Picking cards.
Oh my God. Professional. Great. Yeah, so time of recording, Throne of Eldraine has just been fully spoiled. So I think by the time this comes out, it'll have been like a month.
Probably.
So you've gotten to play with the cards now, listeners. So it's still, you know what? It's appropriate. It's perfect. And I wanted to know, what are your favorite cards from Throne of Eldraine?
Oh boy. Why'd you ask me this? Oops. I keep knocking the microphone around. Sorry.
Stop it. Well, I asked because it's a new cards. It's a new set.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
I was gonna say, I guess what are your overall impressions of Throne of Eldraine now that we've seen all the cards?
So I'm going to the pre-release this weekend. I signed up for the Friday night one at my local game store, and of course, before I go to pre-release, I always check out, at least just like skim through everything, which is great. I kind of killed two birds with one stone with doing this episode today. Yay. Efficiency, because that's what I'm all about.
Synergies.
Yes. And I haven't really been like keeping up with the previews. Like maybe when the first couple come out, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. But then I just stop caring and I just wait for the whole thing to be here.
Gotcha. So you're not checking like the site or
every day,
no.
Gotcha. No. I just see the first couple and then I'll be like, I'll just wait for everything to be. Yeah, okay, cool, nice. I was right. And then, so I was looking through it today, and knights are a big deal. There's a lot of knights. Like, way more knights than I thought. There are surprisingly way more fairies than I thought there were going to be.
Yeah, what is that about? I was just thinking about that today.
And a surprising lack of goblins.
There aren't very many. There are some.
There's some, and one kind of shows up in cards, red caps, or whatever they call.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so it was like, I just don't care about humans, and I don't care about, like, the nobles or the knights, so, I mean, I think it's interesting. It'll be fun to see, like, decks that get built out of all of this, but for me personally, like, I love the theme more than I love what I'm seeing card-wise. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I kind of agree with that. And maybe we'll get more into this in the second half of the show, but I did want to touch on, we saw those cards, which we now know are adventure cards, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
With like the little spell book opening on the text box, and we're like, and it has a different like mana cost down there. We're like, ooh, what is it going to be?
Yeah. And
it turns out it's just like another like modal card, has two different functions. You cast it now, you flash it back later. It's like a variant of flashback in a way. And I don't know, as far as like a way to tell fairy tale stories on cards, it felt kind of lackluster.
You mean the adventure mechanic?
Right. Like, it feels like they could have used this in any set. Like, there's nothing special about it that felt fairy tale-ish to me, other than just calling it adventures.
I'm processing, but yeah, I'll keep thinking about it. Maybe we can talk about it in the next segment. But
sure,
I get you.
Anyway, let's get into the cards that we are excited about, because there are some cards that got me pretty pumped up.
Really, I didn't really. I mean, I guess kind of. So I guess
bringing the fever right now.
I'm tired. Shut up.
Not tired enough to not include honorable mentions.
Okay, you know what?
Yes.
Whatever. Okay. So yeah, there's an honorable mention, and I'll talk about it right now. Because, like, for me...
Go for it.
With Magic,
yes.
I'm never, ever, ever trying to be, like... I don't play the game to really win. I'm playing the game to be silly and to find, like, these weird, fun parts for it for me. And so, honorable mention I picked was Witch's Oven, which costs only 1. It's an artifact. And you tap, sacrifice a creature, create a food token. If the sacrificed creature's toughness was 4 or greater, create 2 food tokens instead. Mm-hmm. The wafting smells are both scrumptious and suspicious, which I also like that flavor text. So for me, this is one of those things where I saw it and I was like, ooh, how do I put this in my stupid Cranko modern deck?
Right.
Just because I just like things happening, I guess, on my side of the field. Like I tweeted about it.
Yes, you did.
Where I was like, Witch's Oven, I could do this, I could sacrifice that, and I could use the food tokens to feed that. And I'm like, oh no, I'm just making a clicker game. I'm just making cookie clicker or paper clips. And I'm like, no, Amber, what are you doing?
I can use this adventure to make 2 food tokens, and then I can use my Witch's Oven to sacrifice them.
No, I can't sacrifice...
I can use a card to sacrifice the food tokens and get a giant, and then I can sacrifice the giant to my Witch's Oven, generating 2 additional food tokens.
Exactly. That's what's going. So that's honorable mention, and then I'll talk about my real third one, which I do not remember what I chose.
So this will be a little adventure for all of us.
I know. I chose this one. This is probably... I put it third.
It's also part of your combo piece.
I put it third... Well, I love it probably more than third place, but we'll talk about it. So
okay.
It's Lucky Clover. It costs 2 colorless, or just 2 mana, and it's an artifact. Notice it's not a legendary artifact.
No.
So you could have multiple copies, which means it becomes a multiplier. Whenever you cast an adventure, instant, or sorcery spell, like we talked about, most of the cards that have like the storybook flavor text or the text box, there's an adventure mechanic that makes it, there's like a sorcery or instant that's an adventure sorcery instant. So whenever you cast one of those, you copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy.
Right. And if you've got 2 of these out, you copy it twice.
If you have 4 of them out, you copy them 4 times.
That's correct.
Right.
4-leaf clover of sorts.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Blow your mind right there.
Broke my brain for a second. That was stupid. That was a stupid way to break my brain. Anyway, I really like it. Only costs 2. There's some really, really, really good creature cards with that adventure sorcery instant on it, and that are cheap. So it's like, dang, the things you could do.
Yeah, absolutely. Opens up your mind to the different combo possibilities.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it. Is there any more of your combo in your list?
Let me see. Yes, there is.
Okay, we'll wait. So yes, you've brainstormed a combo with these cards. We'll get into it. All right. So you can click on my number 3.
Okay.
It is Pinocchio.
Yes.
It's Inquisitive Puppet. Also costs 1 colorless mana. For an 0/2 artifact creature or construct, when Inquisitive Puppet enters the battlefield, scry 1. Exile Inquisitive Puppet, create a 1/1 white human creature token. So do you get it? He becomes a real boy.
I get it.
I just, of all the cards, we were talking about, like, you were saying that you liked the theme of Eldraine more than you liked the cards necessarily. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel about a lot of them. Like, I completely understand, and I agree with that Wizards does not need to look at all the different fairy tales they want to do and just try to make perfect representations of them.
Right.
You know, they should be putting their spin on them. But sometimes they put their spin on them, and it's like, this doesn't click with me at all anymore.
Right.
Like the Goldilocks Flaxen Intruder.
Right.
She does a lot of weird stuff, and she's also a bear hunter instead of I don't know. It's really strange.
Okay.
And this one to me is just the cleanest, simplest, nicest representation of one of these fairy tales. So you got Pinocchio. He's an artifact creature because he's artificially made. When he enters battlefield, he scries 1 because he is a curious little guy. And he leaves, he exiled, and he comes back as a human. Like, that just seems like a really clean, just 2 really simple lines of rules that perfectly encapsulate what Pinocchio is supposed to be. And also, I think it's just pretty good value to have this O2 creature that you can scry, you can sacrifice it away to make food tokens, for example, that kind of stuff. I guess sacrificing wouldn't work. That's actually kind of weird that they don't let you sacrifice it.
What do you mean?
Because if you try to sacrifice it, you can't get the 1/1 human creature token.
Yeah, no.
That's unfortunate.
Whatever.
Anyway,
Humans.
I like this one from a top-down design. I think it's not an amazing card, but as far as top-down designs, this one is my favorite.
It does feels very neat. Like, it's just a very neat card. Like, when I say neat, I mean, like, tidy.
Yes, exactly. And that, of course, appeals to me.
Of course it does.
You say that with such venom.
Okay, so number 2 actually has 2 on the same line.
Okay.
Did you notice that?
Yes, I did.
I don't know. I don't know. So, I hate picking things.
These are 2 totally different things.
I know they are.
So now I understand the message. Yes, there are 2 separate links here. One is the one that says second place, which I left there, and the other one you've added that it says I don't know and I don't care.
I don't care anymore.
Now I understand what that means. It means I'm going to put 2 number 2s.
Yes.
No attempt at subterfuge anymore.
I'm not even going to try to mask it behind anything.
I like the thing that's funny to me is that on this same list, there's still an honorable mention.
Shut up. Let's talk about my goddamn cards. There's 2 of them. Okay. First off, we were going back to my stupid... Would you stop laughing? This is serious. I'm trying to be serious right now. This is serious Magic talk. Because I'm trying to not be a baby Magic player anymore. So, I'm trying to figure out... Don't. You're grinning at me. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to talk now. Fuck off. Nobody can see this. This is not fair until we stream, and then everyone will see how terrible you are to me and why I say mean things to you. Because they don't see you flipping me off all the time and making horrible gestures and horrible faces at me. Yeah, see? Terrible. Awful. God. Okay.
No proof.
So,
absolutely no proof.
Screenshot. I've been recording it this whole time. Okay, we're talking about Magic. So I'm trying to find... Again, playing Magic because I just like to see things happen. Mm-hmm. I liked the Clover, Lucky Clover, because of the copy ability. And I love turning things into food tokens. I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna.
You already love it.
I'm already loving it. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, strategy now. There's 2 different ways. Like, I'm trying to like play Magic to play Magic, and then play Magic just to play Magic for me.
Yeah.
So the first route we're going, the first branch, is I'm going to talk about Giant Opportunity, which is cost 2 and a green. It's a sorcery. You may sacrifice 2 foods. If you do, create a 7/7 green giant creature token. Otherwise, create 3 food tokens. It's honestly not a okay. So like making food, there's another card that I even list that I looked at called what was it called? Curious Twins
Pair.
Curious Pair, yeah. And it's an instant. It's a 1/3 creature that has not only cost 2 and it has a sorcery that is cost 1 and it's create a food token.
Yes.
And
Choose to share. The other half.
Which is good. And it's like just making food tokens just appeals to me. I just like this generation thing.
Yeah.
But it's like I could end up making a lot of giants too. Just because of the amount of food tokens. I know, I think I put it on Twitter. It's like I could get to there's a way to do it turn 4, get a giant 7/7, which I think there's another card in the set that is a 7/6 giant that costs maybe 4. So it's not like it's not like giant. It's not really like a remarkable strategy by any means, but it's funny to me.
Yeah.
So I like it, and I like giant opportunity just because, like, I'm doing something with food tokens.
Right.
There's other cards, too, that I could have put here that also use food tokens. There's a noble dragon creature card that you feed him food tokens, and he gets +1/+1. He's like, it's cursed to something. But anyway, whatever. I don't care about
cursed prince or something.
Something like that. But whatever. I don't like dragons, so giant opportunity. Giants.
Gotcha. I feel like, because there's all kinds of stuff throughout Magic's history that has made, tokens and resources and stuff. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, food tokens is hilarious already. And I think there's something about it that appeals to you in that, I mean, food tokens do something by themselves. You pay 2 and sacrifice it to gain 3 life.
Yeah, whatever.
I think that's part of the appeal to you, is that they're kind of useless. Like, you have to find ways to make a use out of them.
Yes, and also it's just like narratively it cracks me up, where it's like, I literally am stuffing a pie down a dragon's throat to make him stronger.
Get strong.
That's hilarious to me, and I love it. But so
it's also very funny to me. It's like, I want to grow a giant. I'm going to plant a pizza and a baked potato in the ground.
Or those crazy fantasy bananas. That's what I'm talking about. So anyway, so that's the one path, silly path. The other path was you could get pretty evil with it. Because I did see another creature card that is not in my normal color set and not my normal strategy, which is Merfolk Secret Keeper, which only costs 1 blue. It's a Merfolk Wizard, and it's 0/4 creature, but it has a sorcery adventurer that only costs 1, and it says target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. So it's milling. And if you had 4 fucking copies of Lucky Clover out there, that's 16 cards that people are going to have to mill essentially. And it's like, oh shit, that's not...
It stacks up pretty quick.
It does. So anyway, that could be a shitty blue path I would go down if I was a shitty blue player.
Especially if you had some way to recur the Secret Keepers, like get them back in your hand. You can go on the adventure
bounce
again.
them. And
it's so cheap that could be pretty easy to do. Like, there's also in this set a reprint of, it's not a reprint. It's called Runaway Together. It's a functional reprint of Peel from Reality, but it only costs 2 mana, 1 in a blue, and you return target creature you control and target creature you don't control to their owner's hands. So for just 2 mana, you get your Secret Keeper back so that you can replay it, and you're buying yourself time by bouncing their threat back to their hand.
Yeah. So it says, then exile this card. You may cast the creature later from exile. What does that mean? When is later?
Anytime afterwards. So you could do it in the same turn. So if you cast Venture Deeper, the adventure part, it goes to exile. If you've got another blue mana up this turn, you can go ahead and cast it right now. But you can cast it any future turn.
Gotcha.
When you could cast a creature.
Okay.
It basically just works the same way as Flashback, almost.
Yeah. Do you only get to do it once?
Yes, because then the creature's in play. But if you bounce back to your hand, you can go on the adventure again and repeat the process. You making yummy with your mouth? What is that?
I'm thinking. Okay. That's my thinking face.
I've never seen it before.
I'm crying right now. There's tears. Good. There's tears streaming down my face.
All right, let's move on to my number 2.
No, I want to keep talking about my cards.
Okay, go for it.
No, I don't want to talk anymore.
All right, my number 2 is an enchantment. It's called Outlaw's Merriment. It costs 1 red, white for a mythic enchantment. It says, at the beginning of your upkeep, choose 1 at random. Create a red and white creature token with those characteristics. So you get at random either a 3/1 human warrior with trample and haste, a 2/1 human cleric with lifelink and haste, or a 1/2 human rogue with haste, and when this creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any target. So, the reason I like this, there are a couple of reasons. One, it kind of reminds me of Assembled Legion, which was like a really fun token-generating enchantment that was red and white. But two, this is a really like new kind of card. Like a card that makes... We've seen cards that make different kind of tokens. Mm-hmm. So, for example, Bestial Menace made a 3/3 elephant, a 2/2 wolf, and a 1/1 snake. It was just a sorcery that did that. Mm-hmm. But we've never seen one that gives you just random creatures from a set of possible creatures. So it's really fun to me, this card, where you're rolling the dice and you're pretty happy with whatever you get. I mean, all these creatures are pretty good. And I don't know, it's a wacky card. I remember they used to not put lots of different kinds of tokens in the same set because it's just too hard to represent all the different things when all you have are like pieces of paper and pennies and glass beads and stuff. But ever since they introduced the technology of they print tokens that are included in the packs, they've kind of gone completely the other way. And now you get single cards like this one that make 3 different kinds of tokens that have multiple lines of rule text, and one of them has like a triggered ability. Like, it's just so off the deep end of how they used to be.
I like it because it's random.
Yes. It's fun, it's random, it's wacky, and it's different, which is why it made my number 2.
Gotcha.
That brings us to your number 1.
Yeah, so I also picked an enchantment for my number 1. So I've been playing a lot of the Lightning Aggro Challenger deck that came out this year. It's so ridiculously fast. It's disgusting how good this Challenger deck is. It's amazing, I think. Especially for the type of play I like to play when it's like casual, just like go. So this reminds me of a card I like, an enchantment that is included in Lightning Aggro, kind of. Not, it's, okay, we'll see. Okay. So it's called, this card I picked was Fire's Invention, costs 3 and a red, it's an enchantment. You can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. You may cast spells with converted mana costs less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana costs. So it's kind of weird, and I like it because I'm trying to think of like how, like the card I was talking about specifically in the Challenger deck is called Experimental Frenzy.
Right.
It also costs 3 and a red, and it says you may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play the top card of your library. You can't play cards from your hand.
Right.
And then you can pay 3 and a red to destroy Experimental Frenzy. I kind of love that restriction that you have, that they both do. The difference is that this one has, I don't have to pay for it, whereas in Experimental Frenzy, you would still have to pay the cost of the card.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I would love to try it out to see how well it works, because you would have to have like enough mana up to do that. You would have to know, but if you have a deck that's just all burn,
right,
and things are going to cost 3 or less, like, you're going to be theoretically good.
Right. If you top off at like, say, 6 mana or something.
Yeah.
And then you play this on turn 6, and then you rattle off an additional 6 drop for free. Next turn you rattle up 2 expensive spells. You're saving a lot of mana.
Right. So this is intriguing to me as a it's one of those cards like I feel like it's pretty cool and pretty good, except that I don't know how it would work, and I'm not exactly sure, but I want to try it out.
Yeah.
So
definitely the thing that appeals to me is this and Experimental Frenzy are both cards that they're both saying, I dare you to try to find a way to make this work.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like puzzles. Mm-hmm.
I've used Experimental Frenzy a lot. Like, when I can get it out, it's great, because it's like, you know, you draw a card. I mean, you could basically decide if you want to play it or not, right? Look at it, put it down.
Right.
You still have to draw a card and then look at a card, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, the nice thing about Experimental Frenzy, though, is that you can get rid of it.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure, like, if this... And I've had that happen where I've drawn a card And it's like, damn it, I really wish I could have played that. And then on the next card I draw is a mountain. I put it down. Next turn I look up. Okay, now I can play this. Cool.
Right.
But then it's like, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the tricky thing, I mean, this card is a puzzle for sure, but it also has, like, they included that thing you can only cast... 2. You can cast no more than 2 per turn, and only on your turn.
Yeah, so it's like I can't respond,
right.
Obviously.
And also... because the obvious thing to do would be, okay, I'm going to play 2 expensive spells on my turn. Then on your turn, because I didn't have to tap any mana to do that, then on your turn, I'm going to draw a bunch of cards. I guess what you could do, one thing that would be really nice, because you may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands without paying their mana cost. So you play 1 spell for free.
Right.
Then you play a draw spell, hopefully, if you're splashing into a color that can do that. Then next turn, you rattle off 2 big spells. The next turn, draw a bunch of cards.
Well, what's really nice is that you don't have to pay the mana to play the cards out of your hand or cast spells. But if you have tons of stuff out there that has trigger abilities that cost mana, you could be dumping your mana into those. And so that's what I was like thinking about. It's like, I can't play the adventure sorceries because those are casting a spell, right?
Right.
But at least like any of the things that, have like trigger or not trigger abilities, but
so you need to pair this with mana sinks.
Yeah.
Very interesting. This actually was on my list of cards I was thinking about as well, because this falls in that same category of it is similar to Experimental Frenzy, but it does it in such a different way.
Yeah, I know.
It functions entirely differently.
And I at first, when I first saw Experimental Frenzy, I didn't see the benefit of it, right? And then when I started to use it, I was like, holy shit, like...
You're just drawing extra cards,
I'm drawing extra cards, and I'm scrying, and then able to play if I have the mana up. And it's really helps you with card advantage and stuff. And I like it, and I enjoy it.
Especially in Red, where you can, like, run out of steam at the end of a game. It's great to play Experimental Frenzy and be, like, super top deck mode.
Yep.
I definitely like this direction that Red is going with these wacky enchantments. I really like them a lot. For a long time, Red specialty, which I like this too, Red specialty was, whoa, wacky, gigantic red spell, like sorceries that would, like, shuffle your graveyard into your exile zone and then randomly throw them across the room and stuff like that, which I can enjoy that too. But, Warp World is one of my favorite cards of all time for that reason. But it's cool seeing them splash that into enchantments, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I like the flavor text too. Just tell us how many you want and get out of the way. It's really good. It's in like a forge, the arts. Yeah.
With a dwarf, yeah.
All right.
My number 1, also wacky, also red. It's Embercleave. It is 4 red for a legendary artifact equipment. It has Flash, which is already kind of wacky for an equipment. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. So this could cost as little as red to bring out if you got 4 attacking creatures. When Embercleave enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has double strike and trample. And equip cost is 3. So it's not the most expensive to equip anyway. So the obvious thing you want to be doing with this is swinging with a lot of dudes, tap red, this comes out, equips a creature with +1/+1 double strike and trample, and you ambush a creature, or you just trample in an extra like 10 damage out of nowhere on a creature they didn't think was getting through, or on a creature that did get through and had a lot of extra points to throw out.
Because they can declare blockers and then you can flash, right?
Yes, correct.
Right.
So you could throw this on a creature that wasn't blocked, or maybe you throw a 2/2 at them as one of your attackers. They try to block it with a 4/4. Throw this on there, get them.
Yep.
I like this for the similar reason that I liked Outlaws Merriment, or you like Fires of Invention. It's different. It's a different kind of thing. This is like an equipment that plays as a super combat trick, and that there's some setup that you have to do for it. And I'm just a sucker for legendary equipments, I think.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of the Conda artifacts, and they're just great. So this one checks a lot of boxes for me, and it's a very different kind of equipment. We really haven't seen anything like this before.
It was like the saddle capsule corp. Just throw down your saddle and you get a wolf. Woo!
Right. That was a different kind of like. They're doing some interesting stuff, and I think there are a few other equipments that are a little like this, not this powerful, obviously, but have flash. If I'm thinking correctly from this set,
flash is awesome.
Flash is great. Although, again, we had our talk about auras versus equipments, and equipment's just the rich get richer. Equipment are great.
Just load a giant up with 1 million equipment, one goblin with a saddle on it, and 2 swords and a hammer.
And also, over there.
Also this sword. That's a great goblin.
10 out of 10 goblin.
10 and 10 goblin.
All right.
Good night. Wait, we still got more to talk about.
We can be pretty brief here. So I wanted to have a discussion with you. Cue music. Once again, it's time for an academic debate between a civilized scholar and a homicidal brute. Let's begin. No, they're not all that one. No, this is a civilized scholar, homicidal brute discussion. And it's about mechanics, because we've kind of been talking about it anyway. We talked at the beginning of the show about how we were kind of disappointed in the mechanics from this set, and how we liked the different stuff that we were seeing. You're shaking your head?
Don't put words in my mouth.
I was saying I don't like the mechanics in this aren't that exciting for me.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking about what mechanics in the game do excite you, what mechanics in the game are interesting to you, or conversely, what makes a dull mechanic for you.
Like in general or with Eldraine?
In general. You can bring Eldraine into it, but I was thinking generally.
Well, we already know, I like cookie clicker games, right?
Yeah.
And I like synergy and finding use for things. And so even though you don't really, enjoy the adventure, it doesn't make sense thematically, or, it doesn't, mechanically it's not interesting, the thing that made it interesting for me was the fact that now it's tagged something specific, so that I have now that 4-leaf clover that allows me to be like, this specific mechanic is triggered by this other mechanic. I like domino effects. I like things that tend to go, if this is in place, then you get X, or if the X is in place, then 5 other things happen. That kind of stuff I enjoy. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I can like that and enjoy that too. What gets in the way for me is when it's so linear. Wizards is telling me, hey, do this,
Right.
When I see a card that says, whenever a clue token comes into play, this creature gets +3/+3. It's like, I get it. I'm supposed to have this guy and clues. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have mechanics like that, because you do want to help players understand what the hell's going on in your set.
Right.
I also just tend to enjoy it more when it feels more organic and it feels like I'm discovering something, as opposed to, we talked about the slivers a long time ago. Slivers, I can enjoy a lot of aspects of them, but the deck building is not very interesting, because it's just take the best slivers, put them in a pile.
Right.
Done. Yeah,
and that's why I think, when I think about what I was talking about earlier, the clover thing, it's one, I didn't pay attention. I was just scrolling through, and just whatever caught my eye. So I don't know if there's other things that say when an adventure sorcerer instant gets played, blah 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 blah.
There's stuff like that.
Okay, there is. I didn't see it.
There's an innkeeper that whenever you play a creature that has an adventure, will do something.
Oh, cool. But I think that because the adventures are all the sorceries and instants are all different, it allows for that variety that I also like, where it's I could do a mill deck, or I could do a burn, or I could do this variety, or a mixture of it, and that makes it interesting for me.
Yeah, I can get that. And I like those choices when it comes to a limited or a draft environment, because okay, I've got this adventure payoff. Now I have to make the choice of, there's this kind of crappy adventure card, but is it worth it to have it synergized in my deck? now I have to prioritize these adventure cards a little bit higher than I otherwise would, and now it becomes interesting. Constructed is less so, because usually for a mechanic they have like the pushed for constructed version, which is like Realm Cloaked Giant would be an example of that, which is an adventure card. You didn't know what I'm talking about?
No.
So this is an adventure card. It's called Realm Cloaked Giant. I'm just going off the top of the dome here. I think it costs 5, 3 white, and it destroys all non-giant creatures. That's the adventure. And then the creature part is 5 white for a 7/7 giant or something like that. That's like the pushed for constructed version. It's a wrath that then becomes, you can flash back as a huge creature to finish out the game. And they have a couple like pushed adventure cards that might make their way into constructed. And then it becomes a little less interesting, those adventure payouts, because it's like, here are your choices. You've got these 2 cards that you can really play.
Yeah.
Depending. I mean, it always depends on your goals. If you want to do something silly, which I frequently do, then you don't have to worry about that as much. But you like when there is a chain of cards that interact with each other.
Yeah. Or they all feed off of each other.
Right. So you like turning a card. You literally like, you're the Pro ZD player who has the cheese chocolate combo going on.
Well, not really, because that was like, I don't want to be like
that person.
But I do like, I mean, think about the modern deck I made, right? Krenko. Where it's just like, I just want to see how many fucking goblins I can get on this goddamn field. And so for me, it's like, how many times can I make a copy happen? Like, how many times can I get this to go happen? That's what I like.
You like it playing for achievements almost.
Yeah.
I got 50. I used all 50 tokens that were made for me.
Exactly.
Like that kind of thing. That makes sense. You're like a combo between, because the video I'm talking about, ProZD is a YouTuber. Sure, you've heard of him. He has this great spoof about the 2 kinds of Magic players you'll see, and one of them is turning cards sideways and just going on for 5 minutes explaining exactly how this infinite combo he's creating works. And the other guy is like, yeah, I have a cool cow card. When it comes into play, you put sunglasses on a cow creature you have. It's not very strong, but it looks kind of funny. You're like both of those together. You want a crazy combo that does something very silly at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's like all I did. It's like I want a Rube Goldberg.
That's exactly
machine.
what I was going to say. Yeah, you want to design a magic Rube Goldberg machine.
Where basically all that ends up happening is my food token toast gets buttered. But the butter is like so much butter.
By a gloved robot hand.
Yes, exactly. That's what I want. Like all this work and effort and tracking something just because I wanted to squeeze a grape. I don't know. Like that's pretty much it.
That's good. That's a good distillation of
squeeze a grape so perfectly that the skin, it's completely intact and the skin is left behind. That's what I want.
In Magic, or is this separate now?
Oh, I'm thinking a lot of things.
The things I'm thinking right now.
The things I'm thinking right now you don't want to know.
I'm trying to think, like, as far as mechanics that I enjoy, I think it's easier for me to think of mechanics that I don't especially like, which are, like, the ones that just happen, like we've seen a million times. And I think maybe the thing is this adventure mechanic isn't inherently bad. I just feel like I've seen different versions of this too many times. I've seen too many versions of you do a thing, it goes to another zone, and then it does something else, or it does it again.
I don't know. I haven't played Magic long enough, or I've not had the experience to be like as jaded as you are.
To be a jaded piece of shit like me.
Yeah.
It depends. I was also thinking about even being a jaded piece of shit. I was thinking about the difference between Chroma and Devotion. So, just to refresh everybody's memory, Chroma was a mechanic from Alara?
Don't look at me. I'm not going to be able to tell you. Jeez.
Doesn't matter. Chroma was an ability that basically, it looked at the number of colored mana symbols among your permanents, and it would do something based on that. And Devotion was basically... Chroma did not do very well. Players didn't really like it. Then we went to Theros, the world of mythology, and they did Devotion, which is essentially exactly the same thing. And it got a really positive reaction. And I think part of it is, of what I enjoy about a mechanic, is matching it up really well to the flavor that you're going for. Like, the mechanics that tend to stay with me and resonate with me are the ones that are mechanically super flavorful. And Devotion, and that's the only difference between those mechanics, is just the flavor and how they fit in with the world.
Right.
And Devotion just felt so much better than Chroma, which is just this made-up, abstract concept. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. That's why you liked Pinocchio so much.
Exactly. It actually nailed down the flavor. Did you just look away?
I'm thinking, God.
You were making your thinking face. I couldn't tell.
I have lots of them. They're all different for different thoughts. Every thought has its own unique face.
Like a snowflake.
Shut up! Don't put any bells. You're being mean to me.
Okay.
Thinking.
Thank you.
Yeah, I get it. There's things like in War of the Spark when Gideon's card came out. It's like, oh, that makes sense for what he is as a character. It wouldn't make sense if he made devil tokens. Right. You know what I mean?
For example.
So I for example, just throwing it out there. If he just raised devils up from hell,
right?
That wouldn't make any damn sense. No. But I get you.
I think I've mentioned this anecdote before on the show, but I'll mention it again. There's some pro player who is making the point that he would love the game just as much if the cards had no art and just had names that were completely generic. If it had all of the flavor stripped away, he would like the game just as much. And that's crazy to me.
I can't imagine. Seriously, what did I talk about earlier? I like imagining cramming pie tokens down a dragon's face.
Right.
That's what keeps me in Magic. I want to see my tiny goblin holding a giant fucking colossal hammer, or a goblin turning into an angel. That to me is great and hilarious.
Right.
Okay, if you just said, okay, your 1/1 marker gets to be a 5/5 marker now. That's so boring.
Right.
No.
And changing power and toughness to offensive and defensive points or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be so lame. I think about that all the time with no offense, Germans.
Whoa.
But your board games are mechanically beautiful and thematically dumb as hell.
What are you talking about?
I hate all these German games where it's it's such a cool mechanical concept, and then so what is the flavor of this world that you've created? You are a broom in a broom cupboard. The thing is, I'm trying to make a dumb one, and mine's going to be more interesting than theirs, which is...
Well, give me a real one. What game are you thinking in your head? Call them out.
Okay, this is. I don't think this is a German game, actually, but Power Grid is the one that pops into my mind all the time.
I've never played that. It sounds boring.
Exactly. It actually is a fun... You would like it because it's management resource,
sure,
organizing, all that stuff that you love. And they flavored it as you are connecting lines on a power grid. And it just... I'm sure that cranks somebody's gear. I'm really sorry if I'm offending you right now, but you can suck my dick.
Whoa! Whoa! Calm down.
Not really. I mean...
You're up against a wall now. Or you've dug a hole and now you're trying to get back out.
I like these games, and another good example, game I love, Dominion. It's largely thematically a flatline for me. They do a little teeny tiny bit of fun fantasy stuff, but mostly it's I build a village, I build a mill, and it's this doesn't do it for me.
Right. I think Dominion, the base game, meh. Then you get a couple expansions and you're okay, cool.
Right.
And then afterwards it's this is all, now we're on boats.
Right, exactly. Or the Dark Ages, and the whole theme is just everything's bad.
Yeah, and you don't really have when you think about Dominion, you don't think of compelling. I think really what ties me to things is characters, right? And so a lot of times when I watch movies and stuff, the characters aren't compelling or they don't have a really good arc. I don't really care about the thing.
What's
it's not
going
tying what's going on. Usually.
It's got to be a damn compelling plot to get past that.
Yeah. So, man.
Yeah.
Just thinking about how Magic the Gathering should go to Thra, the Dark Crystal world. That would be so sweet. Ugh. Anyway, sorry.
That's all right. They got lots of worlds to discover. I think that's going to do it for our time today.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking way too long.
Way too long. All right. So, if you want to talk to us, if you want to come at me with your hot board game takes, I'm at Wolfmere on Twitter.
I don't know what you could talk to me about on Twitter, but I'm there at Rocket Orca.
We are collectively at Red Blue MTG.
Mostly Kenny, though.
But not entirely. You can also email us, redmagebluemage@geekspective.com. And yeah, we'll catch you next week. We're back every Monday with episodes and rarely bonus episodes on Fridays.
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
We need to get back to that. Maybe eventually. Until then, though, I'll be representing Counterspell.
And I've got a goblin wearing sunglasses rolling dice on a banana.
Good day.
Goodbye.